Thank you for your interest in the training prop that I created for our department in Arizona. I'm going to kind of do a quick walkthrough on how this is put together, how you can assemble and disassemble it, along with some of the parts that we added and some things that we would modify. I'm not going to go over specific measurements in the video, as that will be in the attachments for this training prop. So we have a total of 4 walls. We have our front wall, we have our base, and then we have 2 side walls. Our base is on 4x4s, and we have them on the rear and towards the middle. And then the front, we don't need 4x4s because we're actually using the front wall as its front leg. Our walls, front and side, are attached with some 1/2-inch bolts. The front ones are 7-inch, and then the bottom ones are 4-inch. And then we put wing nuts just that way we can take this apart. There's a total of 10 bolts, and no tools are required. On the sides, we actually have some cross brace that holds up the prop. Now these can be more specific to your size. We did it at our height of our engines, along with the width. This is actually measured for the trays that go into ours that we can pull out and load easier. And then the bottom we just use for storing tools. That way they're not getting beat up in the weather for any of our tools that we're using. On here, this is kind of an afterthought, but we need a way so that when they pulled the hose, it wouldn't go with them. We have this right now. We're actually gonna make this pivot up. That way you can undo this, especially if you're gonna do a horizontal lay using that 2.5 with the gated Y, which is on the other side. One of our captains suggested that we add a whiteboard so we can do engineer calculations as well as scenarios that we want to put in. We have D-hooks on the sides and the front. The fronts for keeping the ladder in place when you're doing training, and then the sides are just to be used for loading hose. These holes were more of an afterthought after we loaded it the first time and realized it was very difficult to load in a completely encased. We actually removed this top piece that used to be up here and just put some 2x4 braces, and then we cut the holes to make that easier. I actually have a design I'm working on where it'll be a removable lid off of hinges. Now, one thing to note is that these walls are, this is a 4-foot by 8-foot sheet, but then we add an additional foot. Down the bottom legs, we're actually going to be adding some retracting casters. That way we can move it inside and outside. Since we're in Arizona, it gets pretty hot in the summer, so it'd be nice to be able to bring it into the bay versus training out here. But I wanted to make sure that when the prop wasn't being moved, that the 4x4s would be securely laid on the ground versus up in the air on wheels, so there wasn't a chance of this thing moving while people are training with it. A bunch of eye hooks, and then these bolts aren't actually bolted to anything. They're just used to hold it in place. That way this whole thing can lift up along with this side, and that way you can remove the entire entanglement part of it. Cross brace here, that just keeps it at the same 28-inch gap that's required for the Denver prop. And then back here we have the 2.5 with the gated Y. That's what we use for a horizontal. So when we pull that and we have that one disconnected, we can actually run that. And then we have tools. So when you're building yours, just make it more specific to your needs, not necessarily my measurements. And then this pulls out using these 2 locks, and then this. That way there's nothing really to snag on when you have your ladder in place up here for doing window bailouts, so you don't have anybody get snagged. Or even if you don't have the ladder in place, you can also still use it. The reason why we built this is because if you're doing a Denver drill, this opening isn't really helpful. So we wanted a wall to be in place. So that's how we came up with this idea that goes in. If you have any questions, feel free to send me a text. My number is 480-334-6252. Feel free also, if you need additional help, you can FaceTime me and we can kind of go over where you're at in your build and what assistance you needed. Thanks again for your support in this. I really appreciate it. Glad to see it's going out all over the country. Have a great day. Bye.